Wednesday, May 6th. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, and I think I had one too many margaritas, and couldn't sleep last night pretty much until like 3:34 in the morning. I think the acidity of the margaritas was killing me with the food I ate, and I just couldn't sleep until 4. And I was thinking like I'm not gonna be all ready to have my talk with my friends. But you know what? One of the things that we're going to discuss today, and one of the things that I developed through the years, is discipline, and that's what we're going to cover. And I woke up, I went in my normal run. It was a little harder, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up, full of energy. So let's start by doing a little bit of silence for the virus, for families that have suffered, the ones that are suffering right now, the ones that lost someone to this virus, and for it to go away faster. Okay, how are you guys today? Good morning. I hope you have an amazing week since last week. The weather here in Southern California, it has improved tremendously. We pretty much feel like we are in summer now, and we're going to enjoy that. And like we mentioned many times before, it's finding the little things or anything that we can grab in a day to take advantage, to turn around things, to make us positive, to make us feel good. That's what we control. That's a choice, right? So I wanted to recap a little bit. Today we're going to use this time to talk about discipline, and we're going to use this time to recap a little bit what we discussed so far on these 6 last weeks. Believe it or not, this is like the episode 6. And we're just going to go over everything. So a little recap of, we discussed in the beginning things that are in our control, things are not in our control. I hope that for those that have been like watching all these episodes and then been doing all the exercises that we're going to also go over it, what you've been doing, what not, and all those things, now find a way how to differentiate of where we were before and where you are now, and what are the things that we can control and the things that we cannot control, especially in moments like this, in unprecedented moments like now, where a lot of stuff is different. There's limitations on what we can do, on what we cannot do. Obviously, the economy is suffering all over the world. So there's a lot of change, right? And change alters personal lives and personal economies and finances. And that sometimes gets you to get in scarcity, on fear, all things that we discuss here on how we can change that, how we can control those things, right? Because again, the virus, the world, the economy, the stock market, the real estate market, everything out there is uncontrollable right now, at least by us individually. But the way how we can change that is by taking care of things that we can control. And one of the most important things that we have, if not the most important thing to control, is this: not my agency hat, but my head under the hat. We have our brain, our mind. Our mind is the most powerful thing we have. I have to, study my mind. I had to learn a lot about it. I had to read a lot of books. I still, and I don't think many people can understand mind completely, but it's good to have an understanding about mind, how it works, how thoughts change your life, how thoughts control your emotions. And then there's a lot of stuff that comes with it that, you need to do in order to keep up with that. So let's go back a little bit, and we were talking about what are things that are out of our control. As I just mentioned right now, there are things that no matter what we do, how mad we get, how sad we get, how many phone calls we met, how, our mood change, we're not going to be able to control what's going to happen with the economy, what's going to happen with real estate. It's going to go its course. It's going to come out of where we are right now. It's cyclical. Cycle is going to turn around. But what do we do? And when you grow, and I experience with my own personal life, and as I told you from the beginning, for those that are new right now here listening to me, I only share stuff that has been part of my personal experience, my personal life, things that have worked for me, things that have not worked with me. It's just me sharing with you and see if in those sharing moments you can capture something that you can be like, oh yeah, I feel that way, or that happened to me, or something along those lines. So let's forget about the things that we cannot control for a moment, and let's just focus on the things that we can control, you know. And we've done this exercise, and the reason why I like to recap is because I don't know if you remember, in a couple of occasions I said we speak about it, we say what to do, a lot of people get fired up, they go and start doing it, and then they drop the ball. So I want to make sure that you guys are not dropping the ball. I drop the ball sometimes, not as often as before. And the more you get into this, the less you're going to want to drop the ball, because it becomes a lifestyle that gives you results, that makes you feel good. So why would you drop that, right? So what are the things that we can control again? You know, like we can control our mind. We can control what we think about. For sure we can control that. Now, in the beginning, it seems like we cannot control it because it's kind of all over the place. How many thoughts we have per minute is just overwhelming, and especially with stuff going on right now, is just think. So there's a few things that I always recommend doing is like, let's watch less TV, let's watch less news, because that's just going to inundate you with things that they're going to get you, you know, in a place of fear, and you're going to get all nervous, and you're going to start thinking about a lot of things that have not happened yet, and you're scared of things that haven't happened yet. You start getting scared of realities that haven't been created yet, but your mind creates these things. You know, that's what the mind does. It just wanders and just grabs every information that is getting in there from every angle. So I think one of the things that we recommended in the beginning was, let's just stop watching the news for a while. I mean, it's good to be informed, not inundated. And they're very repetitive, and they're very fear driven. So how about if we start thinking about what we can think? Let's choose what to think. Okay, so what would you like to think about? Okay, so one of the most important things is controlling our emotions. So if we can control our thoughts on what we're going to think, then we're going to be able to kind of alter the way how we feel. And you can change the way you feel. Out of the sudden, you're not feeling bad, you're feeling good. You set up goals, you get motivated. You know, every single thing that you're going to be setting up in there is going to help you improve the way you feel. And ultimately, life is the way you feel. You know, it's an addition of feelings that you have all together. So thoughts control our emotions, right? Once we feel differently and we feel the way we want to feel, then we can focus more of those thoughts to feel even better. We just got very, you know, a very good connection with goals. And that's why it's important to set goals. And we're going to get that in a second, right? And then when you're going to start talking about goals, we're going to talk about scheduling, you know, how important is to schedule. I mean, as I told you, it's not real until you write down and you put in a calendar and Outlook and any of the systems that you use, you put in there what you're going to be doing and what time you're going to be doing it, and just you need to stick to it. You need to be disciplined and you need to do it. Like me this morning, you know, I could say I'm going to bed at 4, I'm going to wake up at 9:30 just on time to do the talk and have my good night's sleep. But the reality is that no, that's not what I do. I mean, I committed to be here, and I cannot come here and talk to you guys with my eye closed and feeling really tired and not having, you know, the energy to be able to pass to you guys. And the fact that I went and ran this morning, it was harder, is make it better now, because now I feel a lot better than I felt and I was going to feel if I would have slept longer. And tonight I'll go to bed a couple hours earlier to recover the sleep that I didn't have last night. So that's how I personally compensate. But I did not stop going in my run this morning, because the run that I do in the morning, especially on Wednesdays before I come and talk to you guys, it gets my endorphins going. It gets my, you know, oxygen levels high. I go out there and I'm running, and I looked at the ocean at the end of my street, and that inspired me to come over here and be a little better of myself, a little better version of myself, and be able to share this and open up a little bit more my mind to be able to share experiences and things that we're going to talk right now. So now we talk about the thoughts, and I'm going to want to keep beating on it because we have a whole chapter that is in my YouTube channel that you can go back and, you know, think about that. Let's think about a little bit over these last 6 weeks or 5 weeks, or the ones that start looking in the last 3 weeks. So if you're looking for first time, let's think about what we're doing. What are we doing now on a daily basis, now that our schedules have changed substantially for most of us? So what are you doing? You wake up, take notes. I mean, right now is the time to take notes and be like, okay, I'm waking up and I'm doing my meditation. Well, I'm waking up and I'm going through my gratitude exercise. I'm doing visualization. I'm writing down goals. I'm writing down things that make me feel good. What is it that of all that we discussed that you do in the morning? You have in your hour, you have an hour of power. Are you going exercising? Are you you have to have routines, because right now more than ever, I mean, and I always tell this to real estate agents, we are the creators of our schedule. We are the CEOs of our company. Any salesperson, any self-employed person feels the same way. So if you're going to be the CEO of your own company, you need to take account whether you're being a good CEO or not. So you schedule it now more than ever, because there's not office to go, there's not things to go, there's not appointments that are set up in there. You need to create your own schedule. So let's start scheduling. Okay, you wake up at what time? 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever time you wake up. Obviously, the earlier the better. And I'm going to do a whole talk about Robin Sherman has this book called the 5 a.m. Club. So why is it important to wake up so early? Now, I have changed that a little bit during this period, because that's the time that I used to go to the gym, but now everybody's sleeping a little bit more, so I don't want to wake up in my house. I have roaming around and waking everybody up. So I adjusted that a little bit. I'm going to go back to my 4 a.m. waking up once we get back to normal. But still, I have my schedule. I wake up at 7. I'm going to work out. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to visualize. I'm going to do my gratitude exercises. Are you doing all that? And one of the things that we talk about how to get into, we did exercises on how to meditate, how to visualize, are all in the YouTube channel. If you have any specific questions, you can always reach out to me via Instagram or email me or whatever way you can find to ask me questions. I'll be more than happy to reply individually or in the next talk. So let's do an inventory right now of what are the things that we've been doing, okay? One of the most important things when you're doing the inventory list, and if you want to create a better way to kind of address this and do it, is creating habits. Habits are the most important thing, okay? As long as they're good habits. We have good habits and we have bad habits, right? What are the bad habits? Sleeping too much, watching too much TV. Right now, specifically talking about the moment that we're going through right now. Watching too much TV, sleeping in too much, eating unhealthy food, thinking about things that we shouldn't be thinking, watching the news and start thinking about what's going to happen if I cannot sell another house. Or again, this is mainly for real estate agents. So that's why I use a lot of real estate examples. But for those that are here that are not real estate agents, for any craft or profession you have, you got to start thinking about what's going to happen if this doesn't go this, or if they don't open, if we stay in this thing. You start looking at your bank account. All those things are going to get you in a bad place. So let's create good habits, right? Instead of worrying about what you don't have, what's going to happen, or things that you don't control. Another bad habit is start drinking too early or too much every day. I'm not opposed to drinking, as I just shared with you last night. I have too many margaritas at a Cinco de Mayo celebration. So it's fine, but you need to have balance, right? So what are good habits that you can replace with this? We talk about it: meditation, visualizing, exercise, spending time with your family, reading a new book or listening to a new audiobook, learning a new language, maybe watching TV, but watching something that is more informational and more beneficial to you. I mean, YouTube has become such an amazing place to go and learn about anything and everything. Just put in YouTube something that you're interested in, any topic you're interested in, and you're going to find there amazing teachers, amazing people that go and share their experiences and talk about specific books on this or that. So those are good habits. Those are good habits that you can learn and start to do it. And again, this is about habituating. That's why the word habituating comes from habits, habituating your lifestyle. This becomes a lifestyle. That's how you live now. And if I wake up and I don't meditate, I don't visualize, I don't do my gratitude, I don't go and do to the gym, or I don't do one or two or one of those things, I feel that something's missing. I feel like, what did I don't feel 100% myself. So because I habituated myself, and I keep adding little things, and I keep tweaking little things, and I keep removing things. So you need to get to learn what works for you. We're all individuals, that we're all different. We're all wired differently. We all like different things. And that's the beauty of this world, right? Imagine if we all like the same things. So habits are an important element of this of this conversation, because that's what's going to get you to do the things that you should be doing. And the best way how to create habits is scheduling your habits, scheduling the things that you're going to be doing until they become a habit, right? Um, it's very easy to develop bad habits. Okay, maybe you heard this before, and now we talk about how easy is to take the road. The easiest one is usually the one that we shouldn't be taking, and the hardest one is the one that gets us to a good place. And we talk about, if you do what's easy right now, your life will be hard in the future, and if you do what's hard right now, your life will be easier. That applies. That works. If you work hard, if you study, if you prepare yourself, it's going to get you to be in a much better place down the road. So now when we talk about preparing ourselves, we also want to cover that right now, because it's one of the most important things, is how you invest in yourself. But we'll do that in the second half. So let's continue going down into our revision of what we've been doing so far in this lockdown, on this last 6 weeks that I've been meeting with you guys and talking about all this stuff. So what did you do so far in this lockdown? Get your inventory. You don't have to share it with me. If you want to share it. But out of the things that you've been listening and learning, I got a lot of messages from people through Instagram saying, like, thank you so much, visualization. It really is a game changer. They already seeing results. They already see how that works. You already start feeling better. I mean, if you already start feeling better, that means that it's working. That's what you want to do, is feel better, because feeling better most of the time is going to get you to have a better quality of life to start with. And two, it's going to get you to be more clear on what you want. It's going to help you get your goals faster. It's going to help you to be aware of the opportunities that are going to come your way, the people you're going to meet, the phone call that someone is going to ask for something. But if you're not connected, if you're not in that vibration of being connected with yourself, you're not going to listen. You're not going to understand the message. You're not going to be prepared for that opportunity. So you want to be prepared for those opportunities. So let's do an inventory. Put everything that you've been doing, how long you've been meditating for, put how many minutes, how many times you've been doing the gratitude exercises, for how long. If you visualize, how was your first experience? How do you think you can improve it? Was it noisy? Maybe you go in a more quiet place. If the meditation is working great. What are all the things that you're doing? And make an inventory list to know where you are. It's super important to know where you are in the whole situation, right? I have done this, I can improve a little bit more on this, I can do a little bit less of that, because it doesn't really get me excited. Okay, so let's go to the next one. How do we prepare to go back? This is a good one. How do we prepare to go back to normal life, if we can call that what's going to be when we go back to normal? I don't even know what that means. I think that after going through this unprecedented time, after going through this lockdown and learning new things, learning about yourself more, learning about what priorities are more important than other ones, understanding what we should be doing and what we should drop doing, is very important for us to understand what is going to look like when we go back to normal. Excuse me one second. Sorry, my dogs were about to start going bananas here. So let's think about what's going to look like going back to our lives. But I think most important is, what have we learned from this experience? I can speak for a personal level. I learned that perhaps I should really spend more time with my kids. I had a blast taking more bicycle rides. I actually had a blast taking my dogs in more walks, spending time with my wife more. The pressure of the everyday life. Do you really want to go back to the rat race? Do you really want to go back? Perhaps this is a learning experience for all humanity, to slow down a little bit, because there's one thing that we all have in common, and there's one thing that has a beginning and an end, and there's one thing that we can use to our benefit, and it's time. So is it that important to go so fast that we don't really live. Sometimes we're going so fast that we forget to live. And I don't want to get super deep and philosophical on this, but it was just an example that I use. Like when I go back to work, I know there's certain things that I'm not going to go back to do. I think that what we've been going through is an opportunity for us to learn and to take advantage to when you go back, stop doing things that you shouldn't be doing, that they weren't necessary, that they won't make a huge difference in your lifestyle, and if anything, find ways how our life is going to improve, the quality of life, the things that matter, right? So perhaps do a list also of the things that you learn. You know, let's make a little list of the things that you learn that you want to do more, or there are new things that you're learning how to do, and make a list of the things like, you know what, when I 4 months ago I was doing this and I was running like crazy and doing this and that, and that's not necessary anymore. That's not something that I want to go back and do. I think we cannot go to this experience without learning and going back and being a little improved version of ourselves and learn something better on how to live our lives and learn more about our priorities. Because if we go back exactly where we were the week before that we went into the lockdown, then all this means nothing. All this means that you didn't learn anything, you know. And I believe there is a huge learning opportunity here for everybody right now to what we're going through. So that's another thing that I took a note here that I want you guys to do is not only take inventory what you have been doing so far, but also let's take inventory of what are the things that you don't want to do when you go back to the normal life, and what are the things that you learn that you want to incorporate into that. And then let's make a list of our priorities. You know, what has become the most important thing now, whether it's family, love, health, exercise, improving ourselves, which is what we're going to go into it right now, all those kind of things. Because when you write down everything, then you have a better direction. Okay, writing down, doing journals is one of the most important things. I mean, if you think about it, one of the books that I read every day, and perhaps this is something you want to take a note, it's an amazing book. It's called The Daily Stoic, and it's nothing but the writings of incredible philosophers in history, you know, like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and all these people that wrote down things back in so many years ago from a philosophical point of view. They help you understand a little better. So that's an amazing book that I highly recommend you guys read, amongst the few other ones that I just recommend you too. So we prepare ourselves, we take inventory of things we want to do, we take inventory of things we don't want to do, everything we write down so we can go back to these journals, you know, and look at them, and then you realize that you have changed, you have improved, that you actually wrote down stuff and gave you direction of where you wanted to go and how to change your goals. That's what I do. It works well. Let's think about what we appreciate now more than before. What are our new priorities, all that kind of stuff. Now, this is a super important topic, and I think that the reason why this is so important is because people out there, for I don't care what you do for a living, what craft, what business, anything that you do, people they're gonna hire you or they're gonna pay you, they're not paying you for, you know, who is this person and or any of those things. They're paying you for the value you bring. Okay, what value you bring as an individual is what people pay for. Is knowledgeable, is responsible, is a good salesperson, is he understands anything that you're going to be paid for is going to be in direct correlation with the value you bring. So how do you bring value to something? How do you bring value? I mean, you have let's do real estate agents as an example. You have 10 real estate agents that someone is interviewing. Which one brings more value? How can you define in this specific craft, which is salesman of real estate, what makes someone more valuable than other ones? Well, guess what? Is knowledge, experience, so that's why it's so important, personal development. There is X amount of money that you need to dedicate to yourself on improving yourself, whether it's books, going to seminars, taking classes, anything that is self-improvement It's literally an investment you do into yourself, and it's increasing your value. So that's why it's so important, and it's key element, and I don't stop doing it. I mean, I've been in multiple Tony Robbins seminars, and I've been in other seminars that the only reason why I go to the seminars is to grab one or two little pearls of wisdom that can improve my life and make me better. So I love learning. You know, and that's one of the things right now that I'm trying to take advantage is like to learn things that normally in the rat race you don't have time to do. And they're really important. You know, I really would like to practice and learn more languages. That's one of the things that I love. I love speaking multiple languages. It's such an amazing thing. You're able to communicate with people in different parts, on different situations, and in a language of in the native language is really good. Example. Another example is, again, seminars, you know, and people go to seminars and sit, and if you go to seminar and you sit and you're like, oh my God, there's 4 hours to go, that's not the right attitude. The right attitude is to go there and listen until you find something that is really important, that catches your attention, grab, take notes, learn that thing and apply it. Okay, that's why discipline, which we want to discuss right now, becomes such an important part of this, because if you don't apply it, if you don't do it, it's great to know, but if you don't apply it, it's not going to bring any benefits to your life, or any value to you, to your clients, or to your friends, or to whoever, whatever craft you're doing. So never stop improving, never stop learning. You should never stop learning. I don't care how old are you. I mean, my dad's a perfect example of that, and it's been such an amazing inspiration for me. You know, he's a chemical engineer. He's got multiple post graduations. He's got a master's degree in planning and oil. Then he became a politician, and then he became a congressman, and then he became a senator. And then after that, he was prosecuted politically. And after that, he decided to learn law to understand better what is that they were prosecuting him, because they couldn't prove anything. And now he's become a lawyer at the age of 65, 66. I think my dad, 65, 66, he has become a lawyer right now. And he now is starting to do cases back in Bolivia. So see my dad at the age of 60 wanting to become a lawyer and going and taking a full 5-year career is really inspiring to me. And I just give you an example of my dad, but many people, they do that. They just go for it. You know, there are people, they go, and I was just learning yesterday that a friend of ours that works at the agency, Shane's dad has gone to also study in Europe and take a master degree, a PhD on something. I can't remember what exactly it is, at the age of 70, I think. So when you see that, it's like, why that you shouldn't be preparing yourself better? Why you're not learning more, you know? You never stop learning. Different topics, health topics, in your own craft, real estate, whatever it is, okay? I'm going to read you something that I took a note from I think it was Jim Rohn who said, income does not far exceed personal development. We need to keep learning. Personal development is a key. And we need to ask this question, you know, what is that I am becoming? I am becoming this, or I want to become that. And you need to keep track whether you're actually doing that or not, if you're becoming that person or not. And this is what specialization of some craft is important, because you learn your market, you learn everything that is in there. So when you go and get into that meeting, you're very knowledgeable, and people notices that you have the experience, the knowledge, that you're prepared, that you're on top of that, and everything changes. So the fact that you're on top and you're the best, and you're great at something, and you understand one area, or you understand one craft or one thing, doesn't mean that you're forever going to be the guy. You need to constantly learn, because everything is constant change. So if everything is in constant change, you should be also constantly preparing and getting yourself better. So personal development, I would say, what I would love for everybody to do is make a note on one book that you're going to read from today. If you're reading something already that I recommended, well, finish that first. But let's find a book, find one activity that is going to get you to improve yourself, to bring more value. Anything, whatever it is, from learning a new language to taking a course to online, to maybe exercising a little longer, or maybe it's a fitness goal, or maybe it's a personal goal with your family, maybe it's more activities to do with your children. Anything that it is, just one book, one more activity that is going to get you to improve, to become better, and add value to yourself, because that's really what you can offer to other people, is bring value. Always think about, when you're coming to talk to someone, or when you're coming to offer your services, what is the value that you bring there that people want to see? That's super important. And then I wanted to talk about a few basic things in here. And that, as I mentioned to you, setting goals is so important. I mean, make a list of your goals. You need to have a list. If I ask you right now, to all of you, if you were like in an interactive kind of situation where I can see, obviously it's not possible to see everybody's opinion and writing here, but I love to see out of everybody that is right now listening to this, how many people actually have a list of goals. Long-term goals, mid-term goals, short-term goals. How many of you have do an own inventory on your head? You need to have that. If you don't have that, you don't have direction, you don't know where you're going, you don't have a starting point. You need a list of goals, long, medium, short-term goals. If you don't have that, that's another thing that I think you guys need to do. Start writing down goals. Goals are the most important thing. So the attitude, you know, the attitude that we have is also something that people see as a value added to yourself. What kind of attitude you have in life? You have a good attitude, bad attitude. I used to have a not so good attitude, because sometimes the way how you raise, the way how culture, how the world, how TV, how everything's presented to you when you are a kid, and when you're growing up and forming yourself, sometimes make an influence on who you are, or how your attitude is. So my attitude was not as good as now, and I chose to improve my attitude, and the way how I see life, and the way how I go about it, and the way how I learned how to change my attitude too. I wake up feeling crappy, or I have days that I'm not positive, or I'm feeling like this. I know exactly what to do to flip it in a second. It usually takes some sort of physiological movement to you to get there, because you need to shake your cells, your blood, your muscles, your oxygen. Everything needs to be a change, because we have energy, right? So if we change the energy from the inside, that's usually what gets us to change it. So attitude is one of the most important things, from when you're a kid to when you're getting hired to get a job done, is the attitude. The book that I recommended, I mean, I don't know, I think it was even last week, was the Science of Getting Rich. And again, these books, again, they have the title. They all were written in late 1800s, early 1900s. Those were tough times, and a lot of them have just monetary titles, but not necessarily the books were only to make money. So the Science of Getting Rich is a book that, to me, the message on that book, the most important message on that book, was totally related to attitude. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And it outlines exactly why is it that two people, they have ice cream shops literally in the same block, almost next to each other. Why one person sells more than the other one? Is the attitude. It's how he makes the ice cream. He makes it so happy. He prepares his recipes, and the way how he delivers it, and he's there, like that whole attitude gets people attracted to want to buy more from that place than the other individual they might not be doing in such a way, and I can give you 100 examples of it. And that's why that's an amazing book, because it's not necessarily about money. It's about changing your attitude and the way how you do things. And it talks about a bunch of laws in there that are super interesting, and I think that it's a very good book to read, to learn how to change your attitude. So then comes discipline. Okay, discipline, I have to say with all humbleness, there has been one of the things that I developed as a kid, through martial arts, through having a father that has been very disciplined, watching that, because we learn what we watch, and to the way how things are set up in my life. Discipline has been one of my biggest assets. I am proud of it, but coming from a very humble place. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I say I'm going to wake up at some time, I do it. And most importantly about discipline that I realize is not doing it one, twice, or three times. It's habituating to it forever, right? I I have certain things that I do in my life that are so important to me. As an example, at night before I go to bed, even last night or nights where you feel like you have one too many drinks and you feel tired, and the last thing is you want to sit down, do some breathing exercise, and get into a visualization. You have to do it. You got to stick to it, because are those moments that they're hard to do it, that you stick to it, the ones that are gonna make a big difference on your life. So discipline, guys, discipline, 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 discipline. So schedule things and just stay true to your schedule. Okay. Um, I think that for most part, that those are the topics I want to cover today. We have about 20 minutes left, which I always like to open up for questions. Please start asking questions. I love your questions. I appreciate your questions. If you can just start firing up, I'd love to start responding. We have a few participants, 39 on Zoom. Solomon Gans, I think, just fired up a question. Hey, Solomon, how are you? Question, you mentioned the importance of scheduling. Do you set aside a daily time to follow up with your sphere? And how do you spend that time? Do you just send a quick text, or do you call each person and say hello to 10 people a day or so? Hey, Solomon. So this question, for those that are not in real estate agent, is, in real estate agent, you have your sphere of influence, it's called. It's like the people that are closest to you, the people that are going to refer your business, the people that you've done business with, the people that you went to college with, or whatever. It's like the closest people to you that you can get in touch to generate businesses. So the question he's asking is like, if you set up time to spare time. Yes, the answer is absolutely yes. I separate time to either way, call, text, email, and it depends on the individual too. You know, if you have people that you know that they don't text or they don't like texting, that's someone that you want to pick up the phone and call and make it more personal. There are people that are busy, they appreciate better the text communication, text them. If someone, and there is some cases where, you touch base and a more broad thing via massive email or via, e-blasting, and now you can also touch media, people through social media. So there is not a rule. What I do doesn't mean that is the only way to do it. And I personally do it in a very sporadic way. I do have time dedicated to touch base with them, but I never do it the same way. I always change. And sometimes, I'm in a long drive of 2 hours and I use that time to call a bunch of people. I start calling and talking to my sphere of influence. So that's with Solomon. There is an anonymous attendee here. How can someone deal with an imposter syndrome? As a realtor, there is so much competition, and sometimes I can feel like I'm not the best realtor for a client. I never felt as an imposter syndrome, so I don't know how to go about that. But what I can tell you is that there's always competition. There is going to be someone always that's going to be better than you. One of the things that I never do when I go to an appointment, to a listing appointment, is to think who's going to the appointment. And a lot of people like to find out, who else has been interviewed or whatever. That's the last of my concerns. I truly try to focus, and goes back to things you can control or not. Me knowing who is going there is going to start opening my mind to start thinking about what can they offer, or what I wonder what they're telling them, or anything that the other people can be doing that you have zero control over it. So I choose to just focus on what I can control 100%. When I go to an appointment, I'm focusing on what is the value that I'm bringing to that table, what's the value that I bring in the relationship, what can I offer, and how I'm going to help them sell their house. I don't care what anybody else is offering. I don't care what they're saying about me. I don't care about anything but what I'm going to do for that individual. And that's, I think, one of the things that's worked the best for me. Poncho Davalos says, he's asking in Spanish. I'm going to translate him. Yeah, so Poncho, you having a hard time doing the visualizations, and if there's any tip? Yes, I spoke on, I think our episode 4 or 5 about how to, for the entry level visualization, how you can go about it. There are different little techniques. One of the techniques is sit down in the area where you're going to be doing visualizing to make sure that it's very quiet and there's no noise, and it's a place where you're not going to get distracted, perhaps at a time that people are not walking around and there's no noise, traffic, or anything. And you can start by exercising your mind on doing something simple, like while you're sitting, imagine yourself going and getting a glass of milk in the refrigerator, and then actually get up in that moment and go downstairs or upstairs or however your house is set up. Open the refrigerator. As you open the refrigerator, feel all the things you're feeling. How does it feel? Grab the milk. Does it feel cold? Do you like warm milk? Drink it, and then go back upstairs in your meditation position and visualize what you just did over and over and over, because it's easier to visualize something that you just done it. It's fresh. You know how it felt, the handle and everything. So that's a good way to start and practicing. So then in a different way, you can imagine things that you really haven't been there yet, but you're going to learn how to trick your mind on feeling those feelings. Because remember, visualization is only good when you can emotionalize. If your visualization doesn't mean of thinking things, just thinking. Visualization means of thinking about something that you want, a place you want to be, a way how you want to feel, and actually feel it. If there's no emotion and there's no feelings into it, it's not working, okay? Christoph Matos. Hi, Santiago. Good to see you again. How many priorities do you focus at a given time? Do you use something like my top 3, and how do you stick to it? Do you use to-do list or others, paper, digital? Any advice? Yes, of course. I don't have something as top 3 or anything like that, but I have a list of things that I do every day that I don't need to look at it anymore. I kind of memorize them on what are the things that I'm going to be doing in a day. But a good starting point is writing them down. I always say, write down, write down, write down. Schedule them, schedule them, schedule them. Like, so schedule everything so until you become habituated to that, and then you won't have to maybe once in a while glance to it, and that's how I do it. Aaron Gutierrez says you're awesome. I'm currently doing my master's and full-time in real estate. Hope to be able to inspire others like you. Oh, thanks so much, Aaron. Appreciate it. Another one here. Kogi Brooks says, how do you remove negative family members who don't take your desire for self-improvement seriously? For example, my husband thinks that I'm trying to be and know it all when he sees me or hears me talk about new things, and I want to try to like visualizations. You know, a lot of times, you know, people are not in the same vibration, and that's okay. First is for you to understand that that's okay. Don't fight it. Don't get frustrated. Everybody has their own path. Everybody's going to come at the right time. If they come around, great. If they don't. So if you had the experience of sharing and it's coming in a negative way to you, perhaps you don't want to share as much. Perhaps you want to keep it for yourself and start practicing and practicing and practicing. And when it's eventually going to happen, that individual is going to see a change, and then they're going to start being curious about it. So as opposed to you imposing and saying what you're doing, and that's how things get done. If I visualize this is going to happen and all that, maybe start just act by doing it. You know, there's nothing better than doing it. You start doing it, start practicing, and you're going to start seeing changes. That person is going to start being curious about how it is, and then it's coming from a different place. Instead of a judging place, it's from a curiosity place, and that's what, in my experiences, work out well. All right, let me open up a little bit here for the Instagram people. Uplifting Day says, what was the most time you meditate for? I'm thinking to implement a longer time meditation once a week in my life. I mean, I've been in meditation for a couple of hours, very few times, which was the longest time I've done it. Again, I don't think it's about the time. I don't think it shouldn't have to be something that is hard to do. You shouldn't have to be, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes and just suffer the whole 30 minutes. It has to be something that is enjoyable. When you are meditating and you find to be in a good place, you won't even realize about the time. When you realize that it's time to go back and you start moving and you look at your clock, sometimes it's going to be 30 minutes, sometimes it's going to be 40, sometimes it's going to be 1 hour. And guess what? Sometimes it's going to be 10 minutes and you're going to feel like you were meditating for an hour. And that's great. It's all about feeling good. All this is about feeling good. It's all about feeling good, because when you feel good, you are vibrating in a different way that we're not feeling good. And feeling good is literally the secret of life. And we have you have a choice of doing that or not. Okay, so let's see another question here from Instagram. So someone says here, I'm doing cold calling and struggling with hitting targets. What's the best way to get motivated and close deals, please? You need to try different things. I mean, I tried cold calling in the beginning of my career and did not work well for me. I mean, I had a super thick accent and I just couldn't do it. I mean, I was always more of a face-to-face kind of individual. And now, of course, I don't know where you are on the abilities for you to be face-to-face to people right now. That's something that probably is a little bit more challenging. But I think that you cannot give up. I mean, how long you've been doing this for? I mean, I door knocked for 5 years before I got my first listing. So you need to be persistent, and you need to understand that it's a numbers game. If you knock enough doors, someone's going to open and someone's going to give you a listing. Something's going to happen. So I think the most important thing is just continue to do it. And you need to make the decision that you won't stop, because what happens is there's an energetic change when you say, I'm making these calls, it's been really hard, I'm very frustrated, but I'm not going to give up. And when that change is true, it's a true feeling, when it's like genuine, then you're going to start feeling that stuff is going to come back your way in a positive way. There's a lot of thank yous. Rad Reyes, thank you so much. K Brooks 29 says, what is something your dad has told you that you live by? Oh man, I mean, there's so many things. I'm being blessed with amazing parents. I mean, my dad, again, as I mentioned, discipline. One of the things that really got stuck in me, that my dad told me at a point in time when I was struggling, and I was struggling from different things, and there were people that they were affecting my personal life. And he one day sat down with me and he said, you cannot let the external events and external people affect your internal peace. You have control of that. You can have peace at all times, and you can be okay and happy with yourself. Don't let the external things affect your internal peace. You need to deal with the external world, but you cannot let that affect you in a way that is going to make you miserable or change your life. Okay, so that's one of the things that my dad told me that is stuck with me. Ripka Zerib, any tips on developing discipline? Yes, grab a schedule, put in there something that you're going to do, and do it. And that's the best way to do it, is just see how long you can go without breaking your schedule, and start simple again. Don't put 20 tasks a day, because you're setting up yourself for failure. Start little and start adding stuff, and do something that you're going to be able to commit, that you're not depending on someone to do it, because it's easier to fall when someone, if you're depending on someone to pick you up to go to the gym, and that person doesn't wake up, well, guess what? You're failing to go to the gym. So do something that you have fully control, and just stick to it and stick to it and stick to it. And that's how you're going to develop discipline. You're going to realize one day, oh, wow, I've been doing this for 3 months. I have discipline now. What else should I add to my list? Alejandro. Mr. Arana, do you think that anyone has the potential to be a highly successful real estate agent, or are some people born with a natural talent that nobody can match? I mean, I first of all think that yes, anyone can do that. I think you can develop, yourself in a way where you can become better. I certainly never thought about being a real estate agent. It was not something that I grew up even aware that there was something that existed, being a real estate agent, until I moved to California. Um, and again, when I started my career, I didn't really know a lot of people. And I had to start from scratch. I mean, and I didn't speak a good language. I'm not from here, and I'm only sharing this because if I was able to do it, I think anyone can do it. If I was able to come from a different country in a place where I didn't know anyone, I didn't speak the language, I didn't have money, I didn't have relatives, I didn't have friends, I didn't go to college here, none of those things, I think anyone can do it, you know. And certainly if you were born here, you already have that advantage over me. So let's go back a little bit with Zoom here. I have a few more questions. There's another anonymous attendee that it says, during negotiation, how you deal with a how do you deal with a person or agent, a client who is non-responsive? I mean, look, in negotiations, I mean, it can go so many different ways. That's like a very open question, but to keep it also open, I would say in negotiations, there is different ways how to negotiate. If someone is not responding, you need to back off. You need to give a space, because if the person is in the other side that is not responding, perhaps they're kind of testing to see how desperate you are, or your client on your side is. Sometimes giving space is important, you know. I mean, I see negotiations like fishing, you know. You just let the fish pull the string a little bit, and then you really back in a little bit, and then let it go back again. You can't force and act desperate, because then you're losing the negotiation. So that would be my answer for that one. Let's go over here. Thank you, Monique. Okay. Johnny Negreros says, I'm going to start investing in multifamily homes and remodels. I have a construction site down and waiting to get my contractor license. How can I start to get real estate experience? Okay, so you're gonna be starting and investing in multifamily homes. If that's what you're gonna be doing, I would start learning about multifamily homes. And obviously, I don't know what area you are, but you need to learn that area. You need to learn how everything is working in that area. You know, multifamily homes sell, don't sell. There's a market for it. There's not a market for it. You need to kind of do a full analysis and understanding of that. Experience comes by through research and through doing it, you know. So if you're starting and you want to get experience, I mean, just go ahead and start and learn about it and learn your area and talk to people. I mean, one of the best things, talk to people that are doing it, you know. Call people that have been doing it for a while, sit down, invite them for lunch, invite them for a coffee, pick their brain, ask them questions, come from a humble place and from a place that you want to learn. And that's how you start gaining experience. And experience is basically just start doing it. And once you start doing it, then you gain that experience. And that's how it works, I think. Ryan Macanella says, Santiago, what is your take on becoming an agent in today's world with a home orders and a change of technology? Do you think agents will still be needed? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, there is been talks for many years now that, you know, there are going to be companies that are going to take over agents, and you're going to be able to have the ability as a consumer to go online and buy a house online. But the reality is, I think that one of the things that people confuse and don't understand a lot of times is real estate agent is basically customer service business, right? You need to give customer service to someone, you know, and people they're buying the most important asset probably they're going to own in their life. You know, they want to talk to someone, you know, they don't want to just go on. I mean, how frustrating is going and trying to do something through a computer automated system that whether it's on the phone or on the online. You imagine trying to buy one of the most expensive things you're going to own in life, and you don't have someone to hold your hand. So I believe there's always going to be room for real estate agents. And, you know, if that eventually changes or not, I mean, I don't really think about it because I'm in it already, and I'm not ready to change careers at this point. So again, I think that that's a valid question. I'm not saying that it's not. I think that I don't know where in your life or where in your career are. If you're concerned that that's eventually going to disappear, perhaps maybe think about doing something else. It's not good to start something thinking concerned about something like that. I think there is going to be always room, and I think that if eventually real estate agents are not needed anymore, it's going to take a while to get to that point. I mean, it's been talked about many times, and it's all going to depend also on the kind of market that you're targeting. You know, I mean, if you're going to be selling bulk homes and stuff like that, then perhaps that's more replaceable than if you're going to be selling single family, that you need to deal with families and first home buyers and also in the high end market also. You know. I don't have any more questions on Zoom, but I have a ton of questions here on Instagram. Thank you, guys. We have another 4 minutes, so I'm gonna pick a few more. Yes. Okay. I think I've done for most part all the questions. Instagram is gonna cut off in about 3 minutes. So I hope this was a good recap. I wanted to do a little bit of a recap because I want to make sure that you're staying on track. I want to make sure that you're writing down everything, that you are actually, you know, being consistent. The only way to know if you're consistent or not is taking notes and memorializing that in a journal and in some sort of book or anything of everything that you're doing right now. You know, all these things are important. So please don't forget to write down the things you're doing. Don't forget to write down the positives and negative things that you're doing. Don't forget to write down how you're gonna go about when you go back to your what's called the normal life. What are the things that you learn from this experience that you don't want to do? What are the things that you learn from them that you want to continue to keep doing? I mean, there are things that now I learned by staying home and that I don't want to change. Even if I go in my normal life, I'm not going to go back to that rat race and stop doing things that I found that they're very important for me to do now. So I'm going to actually implement new things and I'm going to live my life that way from now on. So write down all those things too, read those books, do the exercises. For those that, you know, have missed the first 5 episodes, go to my YouTube channel. It's Santiago Arana official channel. White t-shirt, black jacket. That's the one. There's a couple other channels and I've been having a hard time talking to YouTube to put them down. They're not being responsive, unfortunately, but just pick that, go back in there. There's some important material there. I also uploaded a lot of my classes that I teach at my company, at the agency exclusively, about the specific book, Think and Grow Rich. So that's some information in there too. Love the fact that I still have people coming in here. I appreciate you coming here and listening to me, to listen to my personal experience, which is only what I'm sharing here. I hope you find value into it. You know, this has become such a cool thing to do. I look forward to Wednesdays. I look forward to my run. And as I'm running, I'm so excited to come back and set up my computer and my phone and be interacting with so many beautiful, amazing people. The fact that you are here and showing up is a huge, huge sign that you are in the right direction, because it seems like you want to improve yourself. And don't forget, keep learning, keep adding value to yourself. That's the best thing you can do, because that's the only thing you can offer to other people, from a business, personal, or whatever level, spiritual, is the value that you're putting in yourself that you're going to be able to give in exchange for anything that it is, whether it's exchange for monetary thing, for work, for love, for friendship, for whatever that you want to experience. Bring value so you can bring value to those people. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you being here again. See you next week. Have an amazing week, an amazing weekend. Talk to you soon.